Let's bring in former CIA agent and former FBI special agent Tracy Walder. Last night we were talking, Tracy, thank you for being here, about Iran, but doesn't ISIS hate Iran? So what are the dots here to connect?
So I don't necessarily think there are dots to connect between Iran and ISIS. Yes, they do hate each other, but the reality is might they come together for a common goal? This attack, in my opinion, has ISIS-K written all over it. It's a soft target and it's in Europe. So if we remember what happened in Russia just a few months ago, this is exactly something that ISIS-K would do.
Why is this happening?
I think, just what I talked about the other night is that this is just a matter of time. I think ISIS-K in particular is looking to make the most, if you will, bang for their buck. And I don't know that Taylor Swift herself was the target, but I think a stadium of 65,000 people was their target. And what's most disturbing to me is that there were chemicals. I worked chemicals and toxins at the CIA. Those can become aerosolized and do a lot more damage than what we can normally see.
Taylor Swift, though, you think that's a coincidence, or you think they're looking to attack icons of the left and the left any way they can? The West, rather.
I think it's more about icons, right? But I also think it's more about these large gatherings around these icons. A Taylor Swift concert, I've been to one with my own daughter, that is sold out. And there are more people than we would see at a normal venue at them. And I think that's why they targeted this.
So what matters that we're not doing or that we're not appreciating as a people?
I think part of the thing is, even when I went to the Taylor Swift concert here in Dallas, I was looking around, I was concerned about security, and I think it's important to always be vigilant. But I think it's really, really important to not be in a bubble, right? This is what the terrorists want. They want us to be scared. They want us to not enjoy these kinds of things in life. And so I think this is something that we really need to be vigilant about. But this was excellent intelligence gathering on the part of the Austrians.
What is the policy issue for the American government that is or is not being managed correctly in terms of the risk?
I think we actually are doing a good job. I think part of the thing that we are seeing is individuals getting into this country who are watch listed but are able to come in. So in my opinion, I think that is part of the problem. Individuals who are on known terrorist watch lists were able to get in. And that may have been the case here in Europe, but I'm not sure.
Well, how do they get in? I mean, we just miss them, or is there some loop, like a loop around?
I think one of the biggest weaknesses here in the United States in terms of thwarting terrorist attacks is communication. Full stop. And I think the right hand isn't talking to the left hand, and they don't know that this individual is on a watch list with another agency. And that then doesn't make its way to TSA or border control or wherever they enter through.
Tracy Walder, thank you very much. Appreciate you. We'll be right back.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your screen. And don't forget, click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.